Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of WoW Academy Live. This music is way too epic for what this is, so let's tune that down just a little bit. All right, guys, welcome to the stream, WoW Academy Live. As you guys know, these are my sort of educational live streams that I've started here on the channel this year with the goal of helping you become casually confident. So we want to boost your confidence in the ability to play World of Warcraft at a competent level as a casual player. That's the goal here. As you can see, I've got a new setup. This is going to be a little bit weird for me. I kind of got monitors switched around and all kinds of stuff, and now I got to make my bed like a grown adult every time I get on stream. But you know, it's good stuff, good times. We'll see how it works out. So in today's video, we are going to be checking out the Survival Hunter. And so this is going to be a specialization introduction and open world content guide for the Survival Hunter, a la what I did for BFA. So we're going to be checking this stuff out here today. And as you guys can see, if we go back over here, boom, there we go. This is what we're up to today. And we're going to be checking out these aspects of the Survival Hunter in today's stream. So we're going to do an overview, talk about abilities, the rotation, talent builds, talent build rotations, and do a little bit of a demo at the end. So that's the goal here. And depending on how you guys like this format, I think this is what we're going to continue to do on WoW Academy Live moving forward. So y'all be sure to let me know what you think and if you want to see more of these. Don't forget to like, share the video, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and yeah, like. You guys did a great job of throwing likes on the last video after I put the call out there to like the video. So if you guys can do that again, greatly appreciate it. Sokradar says, hi, hello, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you being here. Okay, so we're going to jump in on my hunter here, Tsetzuko, and we're gonna check this out. So I'm currently spec'd survival on this hunter. It's what I've been leveling as and playing as, so I'm pretty pumped to kind of show this off and get into Survival Hunter a little bit and talk about it with you here for this introduction. Load times. I'm on an SSD. Come on, load times. All right, so if you are new to the Hunter class, then obviously you'll need a little bit of an intro here, but Hunters are typically a ranged class that uses pets to help them deal damage. They're a purely DPS focused class. Every specialization is a damage dealing specialization. And if we get in here, and we look at some of these, got to switch my profile here. Then you'll see. Let's see. That should be good. All right. So hunters have three different specializations: beast mastery, marksmanship, and survival. And the typical themes for hunter are going to be, hey, ranged attacks, use a pet. Survival stands out as a different specialization because it's actually a melee focused specialization for hunter. It does still use a pet, so you have that companion aspect to it. But as you can see here on my hunter, I have a big two-handed sword that I'm using. Actually, I don't even know if it's a two-handed sword. It's actually a staff, but I have it transmogged to look like a sword. So I'm using a two-handed weapon, which is what Survival Hunter will use, two-handed weapons, but I still have a pet. I still have my little boar here with me to help me out. So this is a pretty interesting specialization to play on Hunter because you do go from that ranged aspect to smacking stuff in the face. Survival has a pretty storied history in World of Warcraft and has been a specialization that's been all over the place throughout the course of the game's history. And within the past 2 or 3 expansions, Blizzard seems to kind of have it in a place where they want it to be, or at least good enough that they can ignore it for another several years before they come back around and make another pass on it. So I actually really enjoy Survival Hunter quite a bit. I like the melee aspect, and there's some cool, unique elements to survival as well. Drew says, hello. Hey, how's it going? Steven says, hey, Set, haven't been able to catch streams lately. Great to see you live. All right, thanks. Appreciate it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen you in a while. Okay, so like I said, we're going to hit these points on our Survival Hunter, the overview. So we kind of covered that. This is a melee specialization for Hunter. We're going to get into some of the grittier details as we go on throughout the course of the stream here. But the main thing to note is that you are going to be melee. You can still and should have a pet that assists you. And then outside of that, you've got one core resource, which is called focus. You start with 100 focus and you use it, and then it will regenerate automatically. But you also have ways that you can generate focus through your other abilities as well. So outside of that, hunters are a male class, meaning armor class, M-A-I-L, in the sense that they wear male armor. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So we're going to jump in and we're going to check out our abilities in our spell book. And so what we're going to do here is I'm going to walk you through the different spells, what they do, and how they work for Survival Hunter. We're going to cover the spells that are in our spell book by default. We're not going to be covering Covenant abilities or abilities that we get from talents right now. So we're just going to cover the core abilities that we need. So if we get into our spell book, we've got two tabs. We've got the Hunter tab and the Survival tab. So what I want to do is start out with the Survival tab and go through these abilities, because these are the ones that are special, the ones that are unique to Survival Hunter. And then we can jump back into the Hunter ones and talk about how these generic Hunter spells that are available to everyone, all hunters, apply to the Survival Hunter. So we're going to go in through here, and I'm going to put these spells into a couple of different categories. If you haven't seen it yet, you can go back and watch my WoW Academy Live episode about spells and abilities to kind of understand what the classifications are that I use and what they mean. For this video, I'm going to assume that you're up to speed on the system that I use to categorize spells, so we can just move on and not go over that every single stream. So as we get into things here, we're going to kick things off. We're going to look at our passives first, just to get a feel for what Survival Hunter does. And we have our mastery here, Spirit Bond. It says when you and your pet's focus spending abilities deal increased damage. So pretty generic. The more mastery we have, the more abilities we use that spend focus will increase their damage. Additionally, while our pet is active, we both regenerate a % of our maximum health every 5 seconds. So again, it's a good idea to have a pet as a Survival Hunter, because you get the increase on their focus spending abilities, but you also get that nice passive health generation. So the passive there for Survival Hunter doesn't really tell us anything about the Survival Hunter's gameplay, other than we have abilities that spend focus, right? So that tends to mean that most of our interactions and synergies are going to come in the form of the spells that we're using. So let's go ahead and tackle these. So we have Aspect of the Eagle. This is an instant cast ability with a 1.2 minute cooldown, and it increases the range of your Raptor Strike to 40 yards for 15 seconds. Okay, well, what is Raptor Strike? If we jump over here, Raptor Strike is one of our focus spending abilities. So the more mastery we have, the harder this is going to hit. But it costs 30 focus. It's a melee ability, as many, almost all, of our abilities are going to be on Survival Hunter, and it's instant cast and deals a pretty decent amount of damage. This is kind of our bread and butter focus spending ability that we're going to push whenever we don't have other abilities that we want to use. So our Aspect of the Eagle changes the range on Raptor Strike to 40 yards, which basically lets us like fling melee attacks across the battlefield. So if you're in a situation where you can't be up close to a target, but you still need to keep doing damage to them, Aspect of the Eagle comes in pretty handy for that. Now, generally, it does have a longer cooldown. I have a bit of a reduced cooldown here due to a talent, but we'll cover that when we get into talents themselves. So we covered Raptor Strike and how it's the bread and butter, filler ability. Well, Carve is kind of the same thing. So Carve costs 35 focus. It's another focus spending ability. It's a melee attack, instant cast, and has a short cooldown. But this is a sweeping attack that strikes up to 5 enemies in front of you for a small amount of damage. It also will reduce the remaining cooldown on Wildfire Bomb by 1 second for each target hit. So we're going to tackle these separately. This is a focus spending ability, so Mastery will increase how much damage it does, and it hits up to 5 enemies in front of us. So this is the sort of filler ability when you're fighting more than one target. So if you're focused on dealing damage to one target, your filler ability is Raptor Strike. If you have multiple targets that you're trying to deal damage to, Carve is going to be that filler ability. So those are your two kind of bread and butter. If nothing else is going on, mash these for more DPS skills. Next, we have Coordinated Assault, and this is what I would call an offensive cooldown. It's a long cooldown that helps us improve and deal out more DPS in a small window. This is instant cast with a 2-minute cooldown. It says you and your pet attack is 1, increasing all damage you both deal by 20% for 20 seconds. So you get a 20% damage boost for both you and your pet for 20 seconds, which is a pretty long time. While Coordinated Assault is active, Kill Command's chance to reset is increased by 25%. See, we're getting all these little synergies in here for abilities that, we haven't talked about yet, and that's okay. We're going to come back around and visit them. I didn't forget about the Wildfire Bomb on Carve. We'll get to those for sure. But for right now, just know when you hit Coordinated Assault, you get a big damage boost for you and your pet for 20 seconds. Next, we have Harpoon. So a Harpoon is just an engagement ability. You push it and it pulls you over to whatever your target is. So this has an 8 to 30 yard range. It's instant cast with a 20-second cooldown. It hurls a harpoon at an enemy, rooting them in place and pulling you to them. So you throw out your harpoon and it pulls you forward. It's kind of the equivalent of a charge or something like that for Survival Hunter. It helps you get into range of an enemy, or if you get knocked back, you can pull yourself back in pretty quickly. Next, we have Intimidation. This is a stun ability. It's instant cast with a 1-minute cooldown, and it makes your pet intimidate the target, stunning them for 5 seconds. Pretty straightforward, nice crowd control ability. So now we get into one of our abilities that we have synergies with here, and this is Kill Command. So Kill Command is our non-focus spending major ability that we use like quite a lot on Survival Hunter. It's got a 50-yard range, super long. It's instant cast and has a short recharge time. Now in this case, I'm getting these recharges from a talent that I have right here that gives Kill Command 2 charges. Typically, if I were to switch away from this, you'll see that Kill Command doesn't actually have charges. So at its default, Kill Command just has a short cooldown. You give the command to kill, causing your pet to savagely deal a small amount of physical damage to the enemy. By default, this ability has a 25% chance to immediately reset its cooldown, and it generates 15 focus. So there's a lot going on in this tooltip, right? So first off, your pet does some damage. Then there's this chance that instead of having to wait for this cooldown, you'll just get a reset and be able to use it again right away. And this is the first ability that we're seeing here that actually generates focus instead of consuming it. So if you're running low on focus, then Kill Command is one of the main abilities you use to generate more focus so that you can put that into Carve or Raptor Strike or whatever the ability may be. Now, if we jump back up to Coordinated Assault and look at that second paragraph, it says, while Coordinated Assault is active, Kill Command's chance to reset is increased by 25%. So now when you hit Coordinated Assault, you get that damage boost for you and your pet for 20 seconds. And for that entire 20 seconds, your Kill Command will have a 50% chance to immediately reset its cooldown instead of a 25%. And because this doesn't cost any focus, you can spam Kill Command like crazy. So every time it pops up, you can hit it and hit it and hit it, and not only deal damage, but generate a ton of focus at the same time. So it's a decent idea to spend a bunch of focus and then Coordinated Assault and Kill Command so that you get the damage boost, and the Kill Command, you can get that focus regenerated and dump that back into your other abilities. Next, we have Muzzle, and this is just our interrupt ability. It's instant cast, 15-second cooldown, it's got melee range, and it interrupts spell casting, preventing any spell in that school from being cast for 3 seconds. Pretty standard, lots of classes have this kind of ability. We already covered Raptor Strike, so next we have Serpent Sting. So Serpent Sting is one of the few abilities that we have as a survival hunter that is ranged, that isn't just us commanding our pet at range. We're actually doing a ranged attack. So we Raptor Strike, that's melee. We Carve, that's melee. Kill Command has a big range, but our pet does that. So Serpent Sting is one of the few abilities we have that we can actually use at a range. And you can use this to tag an enemy that's far away. You could use it to like engage, whatever you want to do. So this spends 20 focus. It's decently cheap, has a 40-yard range, and is instant cast. You fire a poison-tipped arrow at an enemy, dealing a tiny amount of damage instantly, but then dealing a pretty decent amount of damage over 12 seconds. So this ability, like I said, you can use it to engage, but in general, you throw this onto a target and you've got a nice little damage over time ability ticking onto them. Now next, we're going to switch off here. We're going to go over to Chakrams so we can see what Wildfire Bomb is by default, because I had a special talent picked up for this. So Wildfire Bomb, and let's switch off here, is another ranged ability that we have. This is instant cast with a decently long cooldown, but it has a 40-yard range, and it says hurl a bomb at the target, exploding for a decent amount of fire damage in a cone and coating enemies in wildfire, scorching them for a pretty nice amount of fire damage over 6 seconds. So with this ability here, we've got that range. It doesn't cost any focus. So we kind of want to use this on cooldown whenever the situation is appropriate to get a little bit of damage and another damage over time going as well. So if we look at our spells overall, we've got 2 abilities by default that will do some damage over time for us. So typically, if we run up to an enemy, we're going to Serpent Sting and Wildfire Bomb, get those dots cooking away, and then we're going to start spending our focus, our additional focus on Raptor Strike or Carve, and then regenerating that focus and dealing damage through Kill Command. Just in terms of how the resources play out, that's kind of what we're working with. So if we jump back over to Carve, Carve says it reduces the remaining cooldown on Wildfire Bomb by 1 second for each target hit. So in general, Wildfire Bomb is better used on multiple targets. You don't have to use it on multiple targets, but it's better used on multiple targets. And so in this case, you throw out your Wildfire Bomb, you hit 2, 3, 4 enemies, and then you start using Carve because you're fighting multiple enemies. And for each of those enemies you hit, you get a 1 second reduction on the Wildfire Bomb cooldown, which will then allow you to cast Wildfire Bomb much sooner. So that's kind of a multi-target AoE synergy that you have going on there. So those are the abilities that we have in the Survival Hunter tab. It's not a lot of them, to be fair. We get a lot of our craziness through our talents, actually, which is pretty nice. And then we also have what's available to us in the Hunter tab. So once again, to kind of recap here, we've got Raptor Strike and Carve as our kind of bread and butter focus spending filler abilities. We have Serpent Sting and Wildfire Bomb as damage plus damage over time abilities. Serpent Sting is also a focus spender. We've got Kill Command as our main ability that we use to generate focus that doesn't cost any focus. And then we have some utility stuff where we have our Interrupt, we have our Stun, our Harpoon, we have our increased range on Raptor Strike, and then finally we have our offensive boost ability in Coordinated Assault. If we jump into the Hunter tab, there's all kinds of stuff here, and I'm not going to cover every spell for Hunters because I'll do that in a separate video, but I'm going to cover the ones that are especially relevant to Survival Hunter and less of the kind of oddball stuff like Eagle Eye or Aspect of the Chameleon. So we have Arcane Shot, which is a ability that gets used a lot in both of the other Hunter specializations. However, in Survival, this ability requires a ranged weapon, so we don't actually use this hardly ever because we use melee weapons. And because of that, Arcane Shot is unusable, even though it's available to us in the spellbook. We have Aspect of the Cheetah, which is a speed boost ability that we can use, and all hunters have access to the tools in this book. So Cheetah is one that we use across all specializations, but it's especially nice in Survival because we're melee, so movement speed boost getting us from point A to point B is very nice. We've got Aspect of the Turtle, which is a damage reduction big cooldown that we can use. We have Disengage, which lets us leap backwards. That's, kind of used if, you're playing as a ranged hunter and a enemy gets up into melee range, you can jump backwards away and keep doing your range stuff. In Survival, a lot of times you may be in a big AoE near a boss, or they put down some kind of like disgusting acid or fire or something, and you can disengage to get out of that really quickly because you don't really have a problem with most enemies being in melee range because that's where you want to be anyway. Exhilaration is a healing defensive cooldown we have, which will heal us for 30% of our health and our pet for 100% of their health on a 2-minute cooldown. So another strong defensive ability we want to use. We have Feign Death, which tricks enemies into thinking that we're dead and ignoring us. It's a 30-second cooldown, so we can use this if we pull too many things. On our next page, we've got our Freezing Trap. You can use this. Let's say you're going to pull 2 or 3 enemies, but you think you can only handle 2, but 3 are going to get pulled anyway. You can lock one of them down with Freezing Trap and kind of mitigate some damage there. We have Kill Shot, which is actually, interestingly enough, even though it says shot, we still use it a lot on Survival Hunter. This is an execute ability. It costs 10 focus, so it's really, really cheap. It does have a 40-yard range, but oftentimes you're going to be in melee range when you use it. It's instant cast with a 10-second cooldown. It says you attempt to finish off a wounded target, dealing a ton of physical damage, but it's only usable in enemies that have less than 20% health. This is something we really, really, really use quite a lot on Survival Hunter, but like I said, usually from melee range. We have all of our pet utility skills. This is where you're going to find your Mend Pet, where you can heal your pet for 50% of its total health over 10 seconds. It's also where you're going to find your... Well, it should be where you find your Revive Pet, but maybe It's because my pet is alive. It's not showing it to me at the moment. You also have play dead. This is feign death, but for your pet. If you feign death, your pet stays alive, and a lot of times the enemies will just gang up on your pet and kill them. So if you want your pet to survive as well, you have got play dead for that. Next, we have steady shot. This is in here. It's used in some other specializations, but once again, it requires a ranged weapon. And since we're primarily playing with melee weapons, this doesn't get used by us. And then finally, on the last page here, we do have wing clipped, which will reduce the target's movement speed by 50% for 15 seconds. Really good PvP ability, especially on Survival Hunter. If you are like trying to chase down a particularly fast enemy, you hit them with wing clip, and then you can follow up and take them down. So that is an overview of the main spells. Like I said, not diving too deep into the hunter spells themselves, but definitely covering the survival spells that we have there. So the next thing to do is take a little look at kind of how a basic rotation for the survival hunter is going to look. And for that, we are going to head over and find ourselves some target dummies. And this is my opportunity to take a little break from talking so much. I found that doing these videos, I enjoy them, and I think I get to put a lot of information out there, but at the same time, at the end of them, my voice is dead. I don't take enough breaks. I don't hydrate enough either. So we're going to head over to org, and we're going to find ourselves some training dummies and just kind of walk through a basic rotation on the survival hunter. Don't forget, you guys, if you're checking out the video and you're enjoying it, throw a like on it. It definitely helps. Shows YouTube that the content's useful and good, and it should share it around. Okay, here we are in org. All right. So, I'm going to showcase this. And we're going to walk through this from the spell book, which I know is going to be a little bit weird, but it should kind of give you an example of how the general combat flow is going to work here. So let's get off. We've got our pet. So at the start of combat, you can do several different things. So you can harpoon in order to engage with your target. We're going to put our pet on passive here. So you can use harpoon and pull yourself in. You can serpent sting and hit the target and start getting that damage over time debuff going there if you want to. You can hit kill command and have your pet go in and start attacking in order to get kill command on cooldown. You also could wildfire bomb. I don't really recommend that, but you could do it right off the bat if you wanted to. And those are typically going to be the ways that you start combat. If you're already near a bunch of targets, then you could possibly like Raptor Strike or Carve if you wanted to. But 9 out of 10 times, you're going to open with Harpoon, or you're going to open with Serpent Sting in order to get a dot going. Now, one of the reasons it's good to open with Serpent Sting is because you spend 20 focus, and then when you hit kill command, you'll regen that 15 focus. So if I go Serpent Sting, kill command, you'll see that I'm back up to 100% focus. So rather than just kill command right off the bat and generate focus that's not going to get used, it's a good idea to use an ability that spends some focus first. So we engage, let's say we harpoon in. Let's put our pet here back onto assist. So we're up here. We're doing our thing. At this point, we got two objectives. Spend our focus, so we're not generating focus that we can't use, and get our abilities on the cooldown so that the cooldowns are going to tick through and we can use our abilities multiple times in the fight. So you can do this a couple different ways depending on what your goals are. If you're worried, if you're on a sort of kill command focus build, then you can get kill command on cooldown right away by just casting it. If you're not on a kill command focus build, then you could start working on the other aspects of your build, like spending focus and then keep kill command there to generate it back for you. So let's just say that we were to open up, we've got our Serpent Sting, we're gonna go ahead and Wildfire Bomb, and then we're gonna kill command. We'll start Raptor Striking here. All that stuff's on cooldown, right? Now we're low on focus, we wanna generate some, so we're gonna hit kill command again, start spending some focus. If our target loses our damage over time from our Serpent Sting or from our Wildfire Bomb, then we would cast those again, spend some focus. We need some focus, so we're going to kill command. And that's like the general basic flow of what we're doing here. Get your Wildfire Bomb on cooldown, keep the damage over time from that and Serpent Sting on the target, right? So right here, we've got a blank target again. So let's hit them with our Serpent Sting, our Wildfire Bomb. We're almost at max focus, so we can spend some via Raptor Strike or Carve, generate some back with kill command. Like I said, if you're on a kill command heavy build, you may want to, Serpent Sting, Wildfire Bomb, and go straight into like a kill command and then start spending some of your stuff on Raptor Strike or Carve. But that's entirely dependent upon your build. Now, in that, over here, the only real ability that factors into our rotation when we're playing a survival hunter is kill shot. We can't show that off on the dummies, but eventually your target will be down to 20% or less health, and you'll want to prioritize using a kill shot because it's cheap and it does a ton of damage in order to finish off your target. So it's a pretty simple, pretty straightforward concept, doing the rotation for Survival Hunter, but really it just comes down to optimizing your focus consumption versus your focus generation and making sure that you're managing your cooldowns well. So once again, we'll recap here. You can harpoon in, right? Get your Serpent Sting, your Wildfire Bomb going. Depending on your build, start spending some focus, regenerate it with kill command. Spend it again. Get your Serpent Sting dot going. Kill command to generate focus. Spend it on Raptor Strike. If Wildfire Bomb comes off cooldown, you can use that. When Serpent Sting's going to go away, reset that. Generate focus with kill command. Spend it on Raptor Strike or Carve. Okay. So the next thing to do is take a look at some of the talents. So if we jump into our build here. So we've done our overview, we've done our abilities and our rotation. So next up is going to be checking out some different talent builds. And for this, we're really just going to go through the talents and take a look at the different ones that we have available and what they do. And I will show you specifically, I'm going to show you the talent build that I'm using. And we'll be demoing that as well and going through the rotation, but I'll mention some other ones that you can do. So go ahead and reset this back to the way I have it. So at the 15 tier, you've got 3 different choices, and all of these choices are pretty good depending on what you want to do. So the first one here is Viper's Venom. It says your Raptor Strike, and let's go ahead and get our spellbook up so you can take a look at that. Okay. Got my move anything on? Okay, so Viper's Venom says Raptor Strike, our bread and butter focus spender, has a chance to make your next Serpent Sting cost no focus and deal an additional 250% initial damage. So this will make it so that, so Serpent Sting doesn't have a cooldown. It just costs focus. So in this case, we're not worried about a cooldown reset or anything, but while we're spamming our Raptor Strike ability, we have a chance to get a free Serpent Sting that also is going to hit harder on that initial damage. Now remember that initial damage is low, so even though it says 250% initial damage, it's still not going to be an astronomical number that you're shooting out there. But you can combo this with another talent to get some additional use out of this as well. Next, we have Terms of Engagement. This says Harpoon deals physical damage and generates 20 focus over 10 seconds. Killing an enemy resets the cooldown of Harpoon. So the idea with this talent is that you basically can constantly engage with Harpoon, because every time you kill an enemy, it'll reset the cooldown and you could just Harpoon into the next target. And on top of that, because that promotes a form of gameplay where you are just chaining from enemy to enemy to enemy, you get the focus generation over 10 seconds to help you sustain through that chain of enemies. And on top of that, it adds a little damage component to the Harpoon as well, so that you get that initial little attack on the enemy as well. And then Alpha Predator gives Kill Command an additional charge. So Kill Command will have 2 charges and ups the amount of damage that it does. So this is great for a Kill Command focus build, or if you don't feel like you need either of these other talents here. The build that I'm running does place some emphasis on Kill Command, so I've got Alpha Predator as part of my build. 25 is another tier where you kind of can diversify and make interesting builds, and that's one thing I'll say about the survival talent tree, is that it does have what I feel are like some pretty good choices that you can make, and you really can kind of customize your playstyle for what you want. So Guerrilla Tactics gives Wildfire Bomb 2 charges, and the initial explosion will deal 100% increased damage. So now you can Wildfire Bomb twice in a row, and both of those bombs will hit harder. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. But also, kind of like Viper's Venom, will tie into another talent later on that makes this a lot more impactful. Our next talent is Hydra's Bite. It says Serpent Sting fires arrows at 2 additional enemies near your target, and its damage over time is increased by 20%. So this is the talent that pairs well with Viper's Venom, because now this Viper's Venom, when it is reset, or not reset, when you get to cast it for free and it does that increased additional damage, if you have Hydra's Bite, then you're going to hit 3 targets instead of just the 1. And you get a boost to the initial damage plus a boost to the damage over time. So all in all, this makes Serpent Sting a much more powerful ability, and it makes it easier to spread it between multiple enemies. Beth Razoth, hey, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in. And then finally, we have Butchery. Butchery is a talent that replaces your Carve ability. Remember, Carve is our sort of bread and butter multi-target filler ability here. And this changes it. So Carve by default has 35 focus cost and a 5.3 second cooldown based on the haste and everything that I have. Butchery costs 30 focus, so it's slightly cheaper, but it has a 7.9 second recharge. So the cooldown's a little bit longer, but that's because this ability gets 3 charges. So you can Butchery 3 times in a row, and then you're just kind of stuck because you're waiting on those recharges. So this attacks up to 5 nearby enemies in a flurry of strikes, inflicting physical damage to each. Now, something to note here, Carve, for me right now, is doing 230 physical damage. Butchery is doing 722 physical damage, so a significant leap up in the amount of damage that you're able to deal. And this has the same tagline that it will also reduce the remaining cooldown on Wildfire Bomb by 1 second for each target hit. So basically, this will give you a upgraded, more powerful version of Carve. And depending on what you're trying to do with your build, any of these 3 talents could be fantastic. The next tier is one that all hunters have. It's a generic sort of utility tier. You've got Trailblazer, which will increase your movement speed by 30% anytime you have not attacked for 3 seconds. You got natural mending. Every 20 focus you spend reduces the remaining cooldown on exhilaration by 1 second. Remember, exhilaration is our healing ability that heals us for 30% of our health and our pet for 100%. So you can basically use exhilaration more often if you pick this up. And then there's camouflage. This is instant cast with a 1 minute cooldown. It causes you and your pet to blend into your surroundings, giving you a pseudo stealth. This stealth isn't as powerful as a rogue stealth or a druid stealth, but it is pretty solid. You can sneak around with camouflage and bypass, some enemies or quest mechanics because of it. Additionally, while you're camouflage, you're going to regenerate 2% of your maximum health every second. So it's a heal combined with a stealth. It's a really great utility ability if you don't feel like you need the other two. I like to pick up Trailblazer because I like to go fast. At 35, we've got some other options here, and this is a pretty interesting tier. We have Bloodseeker. Your kill command causes the target to bleed for a small amount of damage over 8 seconds. You and your pet gain 10% attack speed for every bleeding enemy within 12 yards. So this adds a damage over time component to kill command, which by default does not have one. It just does the initial damage to the enemy. So it adds that bleed, and at a minimum, you get 10% increased attack speed because you'll have that one bleeding enemy. But if you can spread that around, if you can cause bleeds or deal more bleeds through kill command, then you can increase your attack speed even more. With Steel Trap, this is a new activated ability you can pick up, a new type of trap. Has a 40-yard range, instant cast with a 30-second cooldown, and it'll hurl a steel trap to the target location. This trap will snap shut on the first enemy that approaches, immobilizing them for 20 seconds and causing them to bleed for a pretty significant amount over 20 seconds. Damage other than steel trap will break the immobilization effect, and you're limited to one trap. So this trap is actually a pretty nice alternate version of our freezing trap. So freezing trap will hold the enemy for a minute, right? So if your goal is just to hold the enemy, freezing trap is the way to go. Like if you're just trying to take them out of the fight for a whole minute. But if you just want to, split up a group and within 20 seconds or so, you're going to be on to that final enemy, then Steel Trap is a good one to pick up because you'll have that additional damage component added on there as well. So you're trading duration of immobilization for a damage component here. And then finally on the tier, there's Murder of Crows, another activated ability. It does cost 30 focus. It's instant cast and has a 1 minute cooldown. It summons a flock of crows to attack your target, dealing a ton of damage over 15 seconds, which is a pretty long amount of time. If the target dies while under attack, then your cooldown on a Murder of Crows is reset, and you could use it again. Much like Terms of Engagement will let Harpoon reset, this will reset when something dies as well. But it has to be while Murder of Crows is active. It can't be after the fact. Michael says, hey, is it a bed behind you in front of the door? Yes, it is. I know that looks a little bit weird. So that's a closet that I never have access to anyway. And so I use it I treat it like garage storage, and all I got to do is pull the bed out if I want to get in there. But I keep stuff in there that I don't ever really want to access. So yeah, I know that looks weird. There's a bed in front of the door. The door to the room is actually over that way. There's two doors here. So yeah, I realized, I was like, yeah, there's going to be a bed behind me. But yeah, that's pretty weird. Goncho says, hi, do you think to go PvP? No, I don't PvP anymore, just because it bothers my disability so much. And honestly, if I'm going to PvP, I'd rather PvP in a different game. All right, on the 40 talent tier, we got Born to be Wild. This is another utility talent tier that all hunters have some variation of. So Born to Be Wild reduces the cooldowns of our aspect of the eagle, cheetah, and turtle by 20%. So when we were going over aspect of the eagle, I mentioned that typically it has a higher cooldown and that I was getting a cooldown reduction from a talent. Born to Be Wild is that talent that's giving me that reduction. And honestly, I really picked this because I want the aspect of the cheetah and the aspect of the turtle cooldowns reduced more than anything, but the aspect of the eagle having a reduced cooldown is nice as well, because especially in dungeons, you do have moments where there's just so much stuff around the boss that being able to hit aspect of the eagle and just throw your raptor strikes at the boss is actually pretty nice. But in the case of Born to Be Wild, I really want to have the speed boost from aspect of the cheetah more often, and the defensive components of aspect of the turtle available more often. Next, there's Post Haste. It says Disengage also frees you from all movement impairing effects and increases your movement speed by 50% for 4 seconds. So this is, in my opinion, it's more of like a PvP style talent that you could use, or there possibly is some decent use for this in like Mythic Plus or something along those lines, but I almost never take this talent. But your Disengage has a 20-second cooldown. It's the ability that leaps you backwards, and this causes it to also free you from movement impairing effects. So if you're rooted or you're slowed, that'll get rid of them, and it gives you a 4-second movement speed boost as well. And then we have Binding Shot, which, nicely enough, on Survival Hunter, doesn't require a ranged weapon. It does have a 30-yard range. It's instant cast with a 45-second cooldown, and this is a crowd control ability that fires a magical projectile, tethering the target enemy and any other enemies within 5 yards, which is a pretty short range, so they've got to be clumped together. But for 10 seconds, it will tether the enemies together, rooting the enemies in place for 8 seconds if they move more than 5 yards from the arrow. So it's really easy to set this up in PvE. You just kind of fire it towards the back of a group, and as they run towards you, they'll get rooted in place for 8 seconds. So really nice crowd control ability. This would probably be my pickup if I didn't like Born to Be Wild so much. Next up, we have the 45 tier. Again, some interesting choices here. We have Tip of the Spear. So since I'm going like kind of a kill command heavy build here, I've picked up Tip of the Spear to just emphasize that even more. This says kill command increases the damage of your next raptor strike by 25%, stacking up to 3 times. Now we've already kind of shown in the rotation that against the single targets, you're going to be raptor striking to spend focus, and kill command, you're going to use that in order to regenerate some of that focus. So you get a pretty good flow of kill command, raptor strike, or you may do a couple of kill commands if you get a cooldown reset into a raptor strike. So this is really common. It's super common to at least get the 25% bonus damage on the next raptor strike. And it's actually not that far out to potentially get up to the 75% increased damage. Now, a really common pick for survival is to get Mongoose Bite. This was a mechanic from, I believe, the Legion version of survival. It was kind of like the main thing that they did, and they kept it in as a talent. But this replaces Raptor Strike with Mongoose Bite. So Raptor Strike, 30 focus, melee range, instant cast. Mongoose Bite, 30 focus, melee range, instant cast. So they're both the same across that board. Our Raptor Strike's doing 821 physical damage. Mongoose Bite is dealing a little bit less. So it says it's an instant cast ability that is a brutal attack dealing 739 damage. So not a ton, about 10% less damage than Raptor Strike. But it also grants you Mongoose Fury, which is a little buff. This will increase the damage of Mongoose Bite by 15% for 14 seconds. So automatically, you hit your first Mongoose Bite, and it's a little bit weaker than your first Raptor Strike would be. But you get Mongoose Fury, and the next time you hit Mongoose Bite, it does a little bit more damage than your normal Raptor Strike would do. Then you can stack Mongoose Fury up to 5 times. So you can get this up to 75% increased damage potentially. The catch is that successive attacks do not increase the duration of the buff. So once you get Mongoose Fury, your additional Mongoose Furies that you get from casting Mongoose Bite only increase the amount of stacks and the damage that you're doing. They don't extend or refresh the duration of the buff. So it's kind of a weird back and forth where you want to Mongoose Bite as much as possible and stack up Fury and like slam all that damage in. But at the same time, eventually that's all going to fall off and you're going to have to restart it again. So it's an interesting ability and a pretty common pickup for survival players. But all these talents on this tier have their uses for sure. And then finally on this tier, we have Flanking Strike. This is a 15-yard range ability, so it's fairly decent. It's instant cast with a 30-second cooldown. So this says you and your pet leap to the target and strike it as one, dealing a total of quite a bit of physical damage, actually. This hits pretty hard compared to most of your other abilities. This also generates 30 focus for you and your pet. So this does a couple of things. It gives you a hard-hitting ability on a short 30-second cooldown. It gives you 30 focus generation for both you and your pet, which makes it good for going from one enemy to another, or makes it good after you just dumped a ton of focus into like Raptor Strike or something like that. And it gives you a small mobility spell that you can use because it has the 15-yard range and it does leap you to the target. So a lot of times when you're leveling, it's nice to pick up terms of engagement because you can harpoon to the enemy and then you kill the enemy and then you harpoon to the next one and you kill the enemy and you harpoon to the next one. But picking up terms of engagement does kind of box you out of doing the cool Serpent Sting combo here. And it does take away those bonus charges for kill command if you want to go for a kill command style build. So an alternative is that at 45, you could pick up Flanking Strike. And even though you won't be able to use it as often as that reset harpoon, you do still get that little bit of a leap every 30 seconds. And if you look at harpoon, it's got a 20-second cooldown. So realistically, what you could do is harpoon to a target, kill it, Flanking Strike to a target, kill it, harpoon to the next target, kill it, Flanking Strike to the next target, and kind of alternate the two and get that little bit of damage increase from Flanking Strike as well. So a pretty nice talent that I think enables you to maintain some mobility while freeing up the 15 tier. However, there's nothing wrong with taking terms of engagement, and the other talents on this tier are still pretty good. So you may not want to pick up Flanking Strike because you want to go the Mongoose build, or you want to, pick up Tip of the Spear. We dare not ask what lies beyond. At least the bed's made. Yeah, that's what I said. I'm going to have to make my bed like an adult before every stream now, but it's all right. Pazalix, good evening, Set, and everyone in chat. Hey, thanks for tuning in, you guys. Definitely appreciate it. And then here on the 50 tier, the final tier, the capping tier of the talent tree here, we have a few different abilities depending on what gameplay style you want to take. So we're going to do Wildfire Infusion last because it's kind of the crazy one. But we'll touch on Birds of Prey first. So this is a passive talent that says attacking your pet's target with Raptor Strike or Carve. And something to note is that because Mongoose Bite is a replacement for Raptor Strike and Butchery is a replacement for Carve, they both synergize with things that say Raptor Strike in them. So for example, if I pick up Mongoose Bite, it'll say attacking your pet's target with Mongoose Bite or Carve. And if I pick up Butchery, attacking your pet's target with Mongoose Bite or Butchery. So those replacements still have the same synergies. Extends the duration of coordinated assault by 1.5 seconds. So a reminder, coordinated assault is our big offensive cooldown that we can use for our increased damage and our increased chance to reset kill command. So now, if we do coordinated assault and we actually coordinate with our pet and attack that target with Raptor Strike or Carve, we can increase the duration of coordinated assault and basically keep that going for longer and longer. Now, the nice thing about coordinated assault is it does have a 20-second duration, which means that you have time to get those Raptor Strikes in. As long as you can generate the focus, you're good to go. Or if you're, using Butchery, you've got those 3 charges that you can use right there. So some synergies with Birds of Prey and stuff like Butchery, or even perhaps, getting the Mongoose Bite going because you want to spam Mongoose Bite anyway, in order to build up the Mongoose Fury buff. So some pretty cool stuff you can do with Birds of Prey. Chakrams gives you a new button to push, gives you an ability that costs 15 focus, has a 40-yard range, so a pretty significantly long range on this one compared to a lot of our other abilities. Instant cast, 20-second cooldown, which is fairly short. You throw a pair of chakrams at your target, slicing all enemies in the chakram's path for a pretty small amount of damage, but the chakrams will return to you, damaging enemies again, and you deal increased damage, 100% increased damage to your primary target. So your primary target actually takes about 1,200 damage, which is pretty significant. That's on the higher end of what some of your abilities can do. And you still deal about 600 or 700 to your other targets, which is not, it's not an amount of damage to like sneer at by any means. So it's a pretty strong ability. And the chakrams will path to you. So if you throw them out, you can move and they'll kind of boomerang back to you at whatever angles. So it adds in an interesting like positioning component to what you're doing, which I think some people would find like really entertaining or at least challenging to kind of like throw those out and get them in the best position and that kind of stuff. And then the final talent here is Wildfire Infusion, which is a little bit crazy. It laces your Wildfire Bomb, which, if we recall, is our just bomb ability that we use. It does the damage in a cone and puts a damage over time ability or debuff on the target. So this is going to lace your Wildfire Bomb with extra reagents, randomly giving it one of the following enhancement each time you throw it. So when you toss out your bomb randomly turns into one of these 3 bombs. And then when you cast that bomb, it randomly turns into one of the next 3 bombs. It can repeat bombs multiple times, but the first bomb here is Shrapnel Bomb. And you can see in my spell book, that's the one that my bomb actually is right now. Shrapnel Bomb pierces targets, causing your Raptor Strike and Carve to apply a bleed for 9 seconds that stacks up to 3 times. So with this, now by default, your Raptor Strike and Carve are causing a bleed. So if you have Shrapnel Bomb, ideally what you want to do is cast Shrapnel Bomb and then hit Raptor Strike or Carve a couple of times in order to stack up those bleeds. The next one is Pheromone Bomb. So this one says Kill Command has a 100% chance to reset against targets coated with pheromones. So with this one, you could spend a bunch of your focus on your Raptor Strike, Serpentine, Carve, that kind of stuff, and get your focus down pretty low. And then you can throw out your Pheromone Bomb, which still does damage. And then all those targets that you hit, if you use Kill Command against them, you get a guaranteed cooldown reset on Kill Command, which means you can spam them with a ton of damage, but you also can generate a ton of focus because you know you're going to get that guaranteed reset. It's kind of I don't want to say it's like the worst of the bombs that you can get here, but out in the open world, a lot of times, like 2 kill commands plus whatever else you're doing, and your target is dead. So you don't get to go on a big kill command spree. But against like a dungeon boss or a rare mob or something like that, you really can get some pretty cool like DPS spikes from casting Pheromone Bomb. The final bomb here is Volatile Bomb. So this one says it reacts violently with poison, causing an extra explosion against enemies suffering from your Serpent Sting, and refreshes the duration of your Serpent Stings. So with this one, you want to make sure, one, that your target is affected by Serpent Sting, because if they have the Serpent Sting debuff, the damage over time debuff on them, they'll get hit harder by Volatile Bomb. But on top of that, if that debuff is about to come off, or even if it isn't, when they get hit by the bomb, it'll refresh the duration. So by default, the Serpent Sting here is doing damage over 12 seconds. And if you got Volatile Bomb and there was 4 seconds left on their cooldown, you would hit them with Volatile Bomb. It would deal extra damage because they have the debuff, and it would reset it back to 12 seconds of duration for the debuff. So really good synergies with Serpent Sting there. So when you're looking at the talent tree, like I said, I think that the survival talent tree is really cool. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of different combos and ways that you could do things. And it's honestly, it's one of my favorite talent trees conceptually, right? There's always going to be talents that just perform better or are the best ones, depending on how like competitive you're trying to be and how much you're trying to min-max. But if you're trying to have fun and go out there and just, do some quests or, whatever the case may be, then you really do have a lot of options. Cass, hey, how's it going? Beth says, never played survival, but at least after watching this, I'll know how if I ever do. That's the goal. So hopefully that's the case. So you have a lot of choices here, right? So let's take a look at my build, and then I'll introduce you to a couple of other options or ideas that you could use. We're not going to get too crazy into the talent builds because this is just an introduction, but I want to give you at least a couple of options. So for my build, I'm doing 2 things. I'm emphasizing kill command, and I'm emphasizing my bomb. So kill command for me is getting 2 charges and 30% increased damage from Alpha Predator. It's causing targets to bleed and giving me attack speed for each bleeding enemy within 12 yards. And it's increasing the damage of my next Raptor Strike, stacking up to 3 times. So anytime I hit kill command, I'm dealing more damage with it. I'm putting a bleed on the target. I'm gaining attack speed, and I'm boosting the damage of my next Raptor Strike. So with that one button, I'm doing all that stuff, in addition to generating the focus and just dealing damage like it normally does. So the other component of that is my bombs. So I've picked up Wildfire Infusion, so now I have a lot more going on with my bombs. And instead of my bomb just being a generic bomb that I use, every time it comes up as something new that can kind of shake up and change my gameplay, which I picked this because I think it makes survival a little bit more interesting and engaging, because you're like, oh, I've got this bomb, let me set this up. If you don't like that style of gameplay where you kind of have to look and be like, okay, what's the best move when I have this bomb? Then you probably shouldn't pick up Wildfire Infusion. But I'm picking it up here. And I'm also picking up Guerrilla Tactics, which increases the damage that my bomb does initially, which is good for killing targets in the open world because they die pretty quickly. So the initial explosion is more important than the damage over time aspect. And it also gives it 2 charges, so I can use it more frequently. And that means that I'm getting these different bombs more often, and they're hitting harder. There's a couple additional things going on here. Because I've gone the kill command route, when I hit Pheromone Bomb, I'm really benefiting from resetting kill command because of that increased damage, those bleeds, the attack speed, the buff to my Raptor Strike, really just like making money, making bank off the Pheromone Bomb. On top of that, with Shrapnel Bomb, when that goes off, I can hit Carve or Raptor Strike, and that puts a bleed on my targets. And because of Bloodseeker, I gain increased attack speed for all those bleeding enemies. So there's a synergy there. Where the synergy gets a little bit lost in this build is with Volatile Bomb, because I'm not really doing anything with Serpent Sting. It's just kind of there as a generic ability that I can put on the target. And in this case, like, yeah, my bomb will do some extra damage and refresh the duration of Serpent Sting. But like I said, for the most part, you know, the enemies are going to die a lot faster because I'm spamming kill command and I'm doing those boosted raptor strikes. So that's kind of how my build is tied together. Andre, have so much fun on my Survival Hunter. I'm really, really loving it. I've been enjoying it since they redid it in Legion for sure. And they continue. There's a lot they could do with it, and I don't love the Torghast powers that they have, unfortunately. But in general, I really have a lot of fun playing it. I started out this expansion leveling as Marksmanship Hunter, and while I didn't dislike it by any means, I enjoyed it. I switched over to Survival just to be like, let me see. And I was like, oh, I love this so much better. But I'm a melee player at heart, so that definitely helps. Paz says Survival's an on-spec for mainly a ranged DPS class. It's pretty fun, though. Just need to learn to use their toolkit. It's a bit like playing an Enhancement Shaman after playing Elemental for a while. Absolutely. And hopefully this video is going to help you kind of figure out that toolkit. So that's the build that I'm using. It's not the build that I always use, but I'm using it right now. But there's a couple of things you can do. Let's say you like Wildfire Infusion, but you don't want to go the kill command route. So you can make a couple adjustments here. So you can pick up Viper's Venom to get that chance to Raptor Strike and get the free Serpent Sting that deals additional damage. You could pick up Hydra's Bite to have Serpent Sting hit multiple targets and increase the damage over time. So now you're kind of building into Serpent Sting, and now Volatile Bomb, where it was like a weaker bomb for my previous build, becomes suddenly a lot more strong, because when you hit Serpent Sting, you're hitting multiple targets with one button. Your Volatile Bomb is hitting multiple targets and dealing increased damage and refreshing the duration of that damage over time component, which is boosted by Hydra's Bite. So there's a little bit of a synergy there where you can keep the bomb and you can also boost the Viper's Venom. So that's more of a multi-target damage over time sort of thing. And while this definitely works in open world content, this kind of thing is especially nice in dungeons because it makes it so that you can hit multiple targets and multi-dot and from kind of a range, and it's really nice. A friend of mine, we were running a dungeon and I was playing Kill Command Survival Hunter and he was playing a Serpent Sting version of Survival Hunter, and we were like neck and neck for DPS the whole dungeon. And it really kind of came down to like, if there was a big target to fight, then like I would just jump up, I would just like dump damage in because of Kill Command and Raptor Strike. But when we were fighting a pack of like 4 or 5 things, like he'd Serpent Sting like one time and he'd be doing damage, to all the different enemies. And, he would jump like pretty significantly ahead of me because I'm back here like Wildfire Bomb, carve. And like that works. But it was pretty interesting to see like how comparable those two were. So this is an interesting twist that you can take just with this little combo setup here. And you can adjust other aspects of the build as well if you wanted to. So another thing that you could do here is you could go for the Mongoose Bite build with Birds of Prey. So you're picking up Mongoose Bite to replace Raptor Strike. And you're going to want to spam that to get your Mongoose Fury up. And then Birds of Prey is going to have it when you hit the target with Mongoose Bites. You're going to extend Coordinated Assault. Coordinated Assault is going to give you those Kill Command resets, which in this case, we're not necessarily going full on Kill Command, but you could again pick up Alpha Predator to boost that. And then you could still keep Bloodseeker if you wanted to. But this is kind of up to whatever you want to do. You could also, in this build, like pick up Butchery So you have the max charges. And then here what you're doing is you're going for a big burst window, and you might want to pick up like Murder of Crows here with the idea of you're just going to dump on single targets. So in this case, like you're going to approach the target. You're going to throw down Murder of Crows knowing you're not going to get the reset, but you are going to get the 3,000 damage, which is absolutely ridiculous. You can go in and do your coordinated assault, spam your Mongoose Bites and build up your Mongoose Bites Fury. As that is going on, you're hitting your kill commands with the boosted damage, regenerating the focus to pump back into Mongoose Bite, and really just you're slamming butchery charges as well to get the Birds of Prey extension on your coordinated assault too. So you can kind of go, this is kind of, I'm going to take down a single target. This is overkill for open world content. Okay, this is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, it's definitely overkill. So you could go like that route. And then the other one that I wanted to mention is, you know, if you're picking up terms of engagement, the rest of it kind of is whatever your build is going to be. But once again, you could always pick up Flanking Strike for a mobility skill that does a pretty good amount of damage. And then at that point, you're freed up from terms of engagement, and it's up to you. Like, do you want to do Viper's Venom, Alpha Predator? If you like to push buttons a lot, then you can Alpha Predator for 2 charges on Kill Command, Guerrilla Target for Tactics for 2 charges on Wildfire Bomb. You can grab your Murder of Crows. And then down on this tier, you could either Wildfire Infusion for double Crazy Bombs, or you could pick up Chakrams and kind of have fun. Like, this is a, I want to mash a lot of buttons and do a bunch of different stuff sort of build. And I'm all about like playing the thing that you think is going to be fun and you're going to enjoy. I'm not going to say these builds are good for all types of content or that they're even like the best or most optimal builds, but they're just options for things that you could do to try up some different gameplay styles. Now, I didn't adjust 30 and 40 because those don't really have a whole lot to do with the builds themselves. They're definitely utility, and you can kind of pick whatever you want on that tier regardless of build. Mr. Train says, I'm going to say the meme. Say the meme. I can't recall it off the top of my head, but I know there's plenty of memes about Survival Hunter. All right, so let's jump back. This is the build, like I said, that I'm using with the goal of smashing Kill Command and using our Wildfire Bomb to kind of change up our gameplay. So I'm going to show you a rotation on a dummy, and then we're going to go into the open world, and I'm going to show off some gameplay, but I'm going to be doing that with my keybind setup, so that's not going to be as clear for you to watch as me doing it here on the target dummy. Leroy Jenkins. It's not the survival meme, but it's definitely a meme. Okay. So with the build that I'm using, in case you wanted to copy it, we're going to engage in whatever, you know, way I mentioned that we could do before. If we're looking at our spell book here, let's move this over here. If we're looking at our spell book, again, you could Serpent Sting to get started. I do Serpent Sting quite a bit to get started because I don't actually want to mash Serpent Sting in the middle of the rest of my rotation because it's not focused on Serpent Sting. It's focused on Raptor Strike and Kill Command for the most part. So a lot of times, unless I'm wanting to harpoon over to something to get into position, I will just open up with a Serpent Sting. So I'll open up with Serpent Sting. And then if I have a bomb up, I'm going to look at that bomb and I'm going to think about, okay, what is the goal of this bomb? With Shrapnel Bomb, it's the one that lets me put a bleed on the target with Raptor Strike and Carve. So I'll Shrapnel Bomb and then I'll spam Raptor Strikes until I stack up those bleeds. And you can see them right here. I've got 3 of them. So now I've used some focus. I've got my bleeds on the target. So that's when I'll go into casting my Kill Command. Okay, so let's recap that real quick. I got to break away from these because I take the time to explain and then it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So like I said, Serpent Sting, get the buff on there. Take a look at the bomb that I have and go from there. And depending on that, so now I've got the Volatile Bomb, right? Volatile bomb in my build is a throwaway bomb. Okay, there's no special stuff that I'm really trying to do with Serpent Sting and Volatile Bomb because it's not worth it. So if Volatile Bomb comes up, I just cast the bomb. I don't, if the target has Serpent Sting, that's great. If they don't, oh well, I'm just throwing the bomb out there because for my build, Shrapnel Bomb and Pheromone Bomb are a lot better. So we're back to Shrapnel Bomb. If you're out of combat, it just resets to Shrapnel Bomb. So Serpent Sting going in, Shrapnel Bomb. I'm going to spam my Raptor Strikes until I get those 3 bleeds. Then I'm going to kill command and get that on cooldown and start generating some focus. Look at my next bomb. I got Pheromone Bomb, so I may want to use a bunch of my focus, right, and get it pretty low. Then I can Pheromone Bomb and start hitting kill command, and you'll see like I'm going to get just ridiculous amounts of kill command here. And then I'm topped off on focus, spam that back. I'm back to Shrapnel Bomb, so I'm going to cast that, and then I'll go right back into my Raptor Strike to stack up those bleeds. Jump back over to Kill Command. Pheromone Bomb, so I can dump focus again. And then Pheromone Bomb. Kill Command like crazy. It is not wanting to give me Volatile Bomb. Now, normally on a different hunter, I would definitely Serpent Sting to keep that up. On a raid boss, dungeon boss, I would Serpent Sting to keep that up. On a outdoor content world questing target for this build, I don't really care about keeping Serpent Sting up because they're gonna die before that anyway. And it doesn't want to give me the Volatile Bomb for whatever reason. There we go, we got it. So get my bleeds up because I did Shrapnel, and now like I would just cast Volatile Bomb. I might put Serpent Sting and Volatile Bomb, but at the end of the day, I'm not super worried about it. Now, that's the general flow of what I'm doing. The main difference that you'll see out in the open world is at some point in that, I'm going to cast Kill Shot to finish off my target. And also, I'm also going to be using my Covenant ability, which is my Death Chakram. And I'll throw that out basically on cooldown, but not everybody's going to have that. So I didn't want to include that as part of the rotation. So that's what this rotation looks like for this build. So we're going to go out. I'm almost level 55. So we'll go out and find a world quest that'll let us fight. And I'll just kind of show you an example of how this build works. So if you're not familiar with my setup, it's super weird. I have videos about it on the channel. I use Opie as my action bar replacement. So you're going to see this little circle come up, which is going to show off the abilities that I'm casting and using. But you should be able to follow along up here in the top left with the abilities that I'm casting. And I'm also going to narrate them for you as much as I can as well. I feel like you positioned the computer so I'd be scared to enter your room during the stream. You could actually come in the room. Oh, there goes Bun. You can come in the room without even being seen. All right, so let's recap while we're headed over here. So we covered an overview of Survival Hunter. We went through the abilities in the spell book that were super important to survival and just playing, questing, and that kind of stuff in the open world. Looked at the generic rotation for survival. Then we looked at the talents and a couple of different talent builds and talked about the rotation for the talent build I'm using. And now we're going to do our talent build demo once we find a decent open world quest to do here. All right, so let's see. I've got a 4% upgrade. 4%, 44% upgrade, Dangerous Harvest. That doesn't let me fight anything, but I'm gonna want to go get that at some point. Oozing ingredients collected from slimes. This is the Maldraxxus one, right? That does let us fight things. And then also, I don't think I've done Battered and Bruised, but I have done... Well, I think we're going to head out towards that 44% upgrade, and we'll just fight stuff along the way. So we're going to head over into Ardenweld. But we will take a detour and do some gameplay as we go. Hemosart says, which class are you maining for Shadowlands? I am not maining any particular class as such. I am definitely more of a melee player, so I tend to gravitate towards melee as the classes that I play more often and for like a longer period of time. But for me, I am primarily interested in Torghast, so I'm not really maining a class because I don't really intend to do a ton of Mythic Plus dungeons or raiding or anything like that. I intend to spend my time in Torghast trying to clear it with as many specializations as possible. That being said, I have my Warlock and Warrior to level 60. I have several classes that are the mid 50s right now. And the classes that I haven't really been paying too much attention to are Mage, Druid, and Priest at the moment. Those are the three classes that are kind of lagging pretty significantly behind all the other ones. Okay, so we are going to run over towards this quest, and we'll take some detours and kind of kill some stuff along the way. Aggie says everything. Definitely not everything, but I don't know if I'll be able to get through Torghast on every specialization before the next expansion because I play a lot of stuff that isn't WoW as well. I think if I played WoW exclusively, that'd be a different story. Alright, we're gonna go this direction. Alright, let's just, we'll come over here and attack some of these rune stags. So, like I said, you can engage however you want. In this case, since I have Harpoon available, and I kind of want to cover that distance, obviously I could just run up on my mount if I wanted to. I'm gonna cast Harpoon. And then I'm gonna go into my rotation. I'm probably going to skip Serpent Sting, to be honest, and just go straight into my Shrapnel Bomb. And then after that, I'm going to spam Raptor Strike a couple of times to get those bleeds up, and then I'll be switching gears over to Kill Command, just like I showed you. And like I said, at some points, I'll be doing my Kill Shot as well. So we'll take a look at how this goes. So we're going to Harpoon over, we're going to Shrapnel Bomb, Raptor Strike, and then we're going to Kill Command. And then we've got a Kill Shot. And my pet was on passive again. So in this case, for me, Harpoon's off cooldown. So I'll go ahead and Serpent Sting. Let's put our pet back on. I've got Pheromone Bomb. I'm just going to toss it out there. Again, on these targets, it's not really worth my time to do the setup of like, oh, let me dump all my focus and then Pheromone Bomb and then spam Kill Command a bunch. Like, these targets die so quickly that it's not worth that setup. It's kind of the same thing with the Volatile Bomb. And honestly, like, for open world content, you don't really need Wildfire Infusion. I think it just makes it a little bit more interesting when you do hit a target that doesn't just melt. You could definitely, Birds of Prey is definitely overkill for open world content as well. Honestly, Chakrams is probably the easiest, like, oh, let me just throw it out every 20 seconds sort of ability. But I just like the variety and the options in Wildfire Bomb or Wildfire Infusion. And the truth is, for this talent, I always have the option to do the setup if I want to. It's just a lot of times it's not worth the effort. So I'm going to Shrapnel Bomb here, Raptor Strike, got my 3 stacks. I could Kill Command or just go straight into Kill Shot. So like in that case, I didn't even get to kill command. Serpent Sting, kill command, since I have focus. Kill command, kill shot. So, yeah, this build definitely gets the job done. We may be able to find a tougher enemy. Like, if we can find an elite or something like that, which I think there are some over by this pool, we can show, like, an extended version of this. And that's without even throwing out Death Chakram. Alright. So yeah, I think we have some big enemies that we can attack over here before we turn into a moth. Yeah, here's an elite, so this should make it a little bit interesting. So with elites, like, I want to pay attention to my positioning because I don't want to pull too many things. So this is a case where, like, I'd rather attack the enemy with Serpent Sting to get them to come over to me. Right? And this time I will use my Chakram, Shrapnel Bomb, stack up my bleeds. I'm going to go into kill command. Go ahead and use my Pheromone Bomb. Gonna spam some Raptor Strikes again. I'm probably gonna die. Honestly, these guys aren't really... These guys are more intended to, you know, be a part of the quest than anything else. Oh, and he just reset. But in this case, I had several options. So I could feign death and play dead to get my pet to, you know, to get us out of combat. I had my 30% heal with Exhilaration. I also could have hit Aspect of the Turtle to reduce my damage by 30%. Because I'm Necrolord, I have the Fleshcraft shield that I could have put on going into that. I also did have Coordinated Assault that I could have used as well. But like I said, these guys have a buttload of health because they're more intended for this moth quest that we're doing here. You don't really fight them. I mean, you could come and fight them, but it's one of those things where, like, why would you fight the elite if you didn't have to? Got to get these anima cones and get this super sweet upgrade. I didn't even look at what piece of gear it was. But you guys, we're going to finish out this live stream here with some just open world gameplay. I'm going to run around and probably do these world quests on Survival Hunter so you guys can see some more of how this build works. I may change builds. Probably won't, but it's always a possibility. And show off some of the other stuff as well. So if you have any questions, comments, anything like that you want to voice during the rest of the stream, please feel free to do so. I'll answer whatever questions I am able to. What else have you been playing? So I have a second channel. There's a link to it. Should be one in the description as well as at the bottom of my main YouTube page. The channel is called Pixel Pathfinder, and I cover indie games there. So I've been playing a lot of those. Specifically, here recently, I've been playing the new Path of Exile League, which came out last Friday, and working on a new build for that. I like to get in there and tinker around with builds and stuff as well. So yeah, mostly been playing indie games and Path of Exile lately. All right, so we got a sweet gloves upgrade. Let's go ahead and get those. Oh, I got a belt in there. Oh, that's not as good for survival. That's okay. What is the add-on in the top left showing the spells and targets? So that is a streamer add-on for details. If I go into my options panel, so details is the damage meter that I'm using down here in the corner. And this is a plugin for it that's called Broadcaster Tools, I believe. Yeah, I think Broadcaster Tools is the one. And this is the action tracker. It shows the spells you're casting, allowing the viewer to follow your decision making and learn your rotation. So I thought it was pretty neat. I wanted to get into a damage meter just to kind of test out my own builds for my own reasons. And that was just a nice bonus that details happen to have. Okay, so these have gotten boosted up quite a bit. All right, there's nothing left in Ardenwild. We got 2 in Bastion. Oh, right at the bottom too. Go do those. Hopefully they make me fight something. And most of the other add-ons that I'm using are, you can find them in my UI video that I put out not too long ago. Let's see if I can look it up for you guys. Oh, I don't think it's on mute. Let's see. Okay, there we go. So that's the UI video if you want to see most of the add-ons that I'm using. There's a couple that I've added since then. I think Details is one of them, or I might have mentioned it. BFA Prot Warrior Guide helped me a lot, by the way. Awesome. Prot Warrior I've been enjoying in Shadowlands so far. I've done dungeon tanking and Torghast for the most part. I haven't done any raiding yet this expansion. I don't know if I intend to. I do like some of the transmogs and stuff, but I'm more of a play it when it's legacy. And I can just go do it whenever I want to, farm it for gold and transmog kind of player these days. Oh, right. So this week is my birthday week for those of you who are watching here live, and I intend to do a birthday play whatever games I want live stream here on the channel this weekend. I should have a post up about it before the weekend starts, and I'll also put a blurb about it in the weekly update video. So if you guys want to tune in and hang out with me on my birthday, and just see some of the games that I like to play for fun outside of World of Warcraft, you're definitely welcome to do that. So we're just going to chill, hang out. There's going to be no ads, and I'm going to mark it as mature so I can just say whatever I want and maybe have a couple drinks and just celebrate being older. What are you doing, Bunsies? Under there chewing on something. They always are. All right. So where are we going? Got one over here. I know I've done this one before, a couple times before, but I don't remember it. Oh yeah, this is the one where you just have to like push the right buttons on time. All right, block is okay. What? Okay, there we go. I don't mind these kinds of world quests. There's super chill. That's the one thing I've found here in Shadowlands actually is it seems like there's a lot of world quests where you don't actually have to do any combat, or the combat you do is minimal. And like that's nice from my perspective because I like just being able to run over and do something like this, like just push buttons and get XP. But at the same time, when I'm on stream, like, you know, I want to show like actual, I guess this is gameplay, but like, is it really that entertaining? Like, oh man, he pushed Q at the right time. Lots of kind of like mini game style quests. Like I said, I don't mind them from a personal perspective at all. Really? And put me at 99. Boom. Okay, we got a pole arm. Oh. 371, 422. Interesting. It's a pretty significant eye level upgrade. But we're swapping haste for mastery. I don't have the right stat weights in my pawn add-on for survival yet, so I'll hang on to that and get those put in and figure out if that's actually an upgrade for me or not. I value haste pretty highly as well, so that's why I didn't just switch it over right away like, oh, it's better eye level, and like, I actually really do. I like haste on like every class. I don't care. The less global cooldown I have to worry about, the better. The more I get to smash my buttons. Alright, what do we got over here? Oh, we get to spar with someone. I don't think I've done this one before. If I have, I haven't done it very often. But hopefully it's just with our like regular abilities. M says, same, that's how I discovered this channel. That's how most people discover the channel, actually. Through one of the class tanking guides. Happy birthday, thanks. Appreciate it. Not too old. It's kind of interesting. I found a lot of people that watch the channel are older than I am. Which is kind of weird to me. Not that there's anything wrong with it. Oh yeah, cool, we get to... This is the one we do as part of the storyline. Let's go ahead and attack this guy. Might as well just get the points for doing it. Cool. Death Chakra. So I've actually built myself some weak auras that help me figure out how to work my rotation. They've kind of drastically improved the amount of DPS that I do. Hey, get back here. Oh, I was too close for Harpoon. So I tend to just follow my weak auras nowadays. It takes a while to get them set up. Not bad, not bad. Alright, let's go fight the last guy. Still gonna have to do the aspirants, but I think this is a little more enjoyable. Dang. Oh, do I have this set on total? I probably do. Current segment. That's what I want. I only want to know what I'm doing in this current fight. I don't even get to do like most of the rotation. It's kind of funny. But that's one of the things I like about Survival Hunter. It actually feels like you just kind of like shred stuff. At least a single target. Multi-target, it gets a little bit crazier, but honestly you just kind of like swap in carve most of the time. Do you have a weak aura video? I want to use it, but it's always been one of those things that overwhelm me. I actually just recently made a beginner's introduction to weak auras video. So yeah, I do have one on the channel. Maybe someone will be nice enough to link it. If not, I'll link it when I'm done with the quest here. Hey, 2 targets. Let's do it. Okay, never mind. It's basically just 1 target. Two more. I would invite you to check Preach Gaming template. They did a great job covering main stuff, then use Tsetsuko's video to customize what you need. Yeah, absolutely. I'll be releasing templates myself as well. That's one of my major projects for this year, is to get like these basic templates that I have set up available. I know a lot of people are waiting on those. So that's a goal of mine this year. But if you can find a template, those are definitely a good place to start. Okay. Doesn't this guy like just win against us? I'm pretty sure we're not supposed to like actually beat this guy. I don't know if we're supposed to beat him in the world quest, but yeah, I didn't think so. Cool. Okay, pet. Stop hitting him. Cool. All right, so that is the world quests in Bastion. I have my world quests filtered to only show me ones that give me gear upgrades and bonus experience. So let's go back to the flight path and we'll head over to Maldraxxus. And I will find that video. Here we go. Oops. I don't want this timestamp in here. That should work. Let me know if it doesn't. My demon just pulled a chain of 5 elites. That sounds about right. Takes hours and hours fine-tuning weak auras. Probably spent over 40 hours tweaking all my tunes. I spend basically the same amount of time messing with weak auras as I do actually playing the game, which is why my progression is so slow. That's what I enjoy doing. It's what I have fun doing in World of Warcraft. Like, maybe I don't go off and do all the raids, but I like to sit down and like mess with the add-ons, and like I've really been getting into weak auras and figuring out these little like rotation guides that I've sort of created here and stuff, and that stuff's just really fun to me, and that's what I enjoy doing. So I'm gonna not feel bad about it. Do you run Mongoose Bite or Tip of the Spear? I'm running Tip of the Spear at the moment. I played with Mongoose Bite a bunch obviously in Legion, because that was the thing. And I played with it a good amount in BFA. And I kind of switched over to Flanking Strike for a while. And now I'm running this build, emphasis on Kill Command and Wildfire Bomb. Chili. Excited about that. Got a 3-day weekend for my birthday. I have no idea what birthday food I want to get, though. The place that I normally go to, I don't know if it's still... I don't actually know if it's open because of Corona. There's this... oh, what is it? I think it's like Venezuelan. Is it Venezuelan? I think so. Restaurant. But they have this bomb, like, fried rice. It tastes so good. I think it just has like peppers, like bell peppers, onions, and I usually get it with chicken. And I don't know what they do. I think they put crack in the oil that they fry it in, but it's delicious. You get that and some fried plantains. I really like fried plantains. They're freaking delicious. And if I go there on my birthday, I usually get some like sparkly blue alcoholic mixed drink that tastes like citrus and the beach. And that's normally like my birthday go-to, but I don't know if they're open. They've sent me some messages, but been like, hey, get a free hamburger. And I'm like, is it like just a free hamburger because it's a free hamburger, or like you like, please get a free hamburger, we need it. All right, let's go do this arena opponents thing. Get ourselves some bracers, looks like. Do we even have enough people here? It doesn't look like we have a lot. Okay, we got a paladin. As long as we have a tank, we should be like, all right. Oh, this is the guy that... I don't like this guy because you can get stun locked into a volcano and then you just die. All right, let's go. I think I accidentally used my... This dude's 20% already? Man, he's overgeared people. I definitely do not have that level of gear. Man, that guy is dying so much faster than they did on the first like couple weeks of the expansion. That's crazy. All right, one more. Good to be young at my age. I have to watch my waist. Hey, I gotta watch my waist too, but I just don't. I'm like 5'9", 5'10", height wise. So you're pretty much average, at least for here. And I think right now, let's go. Let's use our coordinated assault. Right now, I'm a little bit overweight. I'm about 220. Longer than, or heavier than I would like to be. But there was a point where I was the same height and I was like 135 pounds. I looked like Skeletor. And I would eat like, I'd go to like a fast food restaurant and get like 3 combo meals and eat all 3 of them and just not gain weight. I was like, the joys of youth. If only I'd known. All right, Maldraxxus. We got what? One more here. The Mixing a Mess down over by here. I mean, the nice thing is, like, I feel like I've kind of, like, stopped. Like, I don't really get any heavier than I do now. But I'm just waiting. I'm sure there's going to be some point in the future where you hit some other age and it's like, you know what? Let's add another 20, 30 pounds to, like, the maximum size you're going to get for a while. Not looking forward to that. Okay, so what are we doing here? Collect ingredients from slime. Oh yeah, I've done this one a couple times. I just don't really enjoy it very much. Oh, has anyone watched WandaVision yet? I have watched both episodes and enjoyed them quite a bit. Oh, give it to me. I don't want to talk about WandaVision and like spoil it for people. That would just be rude. I hate spoilers myself. But I did want to put it out there like, hey, I really enjoyed it. I feel like I'm doing something wrong, or there's a button I'm supposed to be pushing. Or maybe I can only carry one of these at a time. It's probably something stupid like that. 40s? Oh, okay. I'm 30s. I'm in my 30s. Mid 30s, basically. I'm about to be like in the mid 30s. Not yet, but seems okay. Yeah, I liked it. I think like on the surface, without getting super spoilery, on the surface it's like okay. I think it's everything that's going on like kind of behind the scenes. The easiest way that I described it to people is it's kind of like watching the Matrix, and the Matrix portion itself is like pretty okay, but it's when you see the cracks in the Matrix where you're like, wait a second, something isn't quite right. Like, to me, that's what makes the show pretty interesting, is seeing those cracks and then wondering what they're gonna do with them, like where it's eventually gonna lead. Waiting until we get to watch more to watch all at once. That's what I normally do, but with this one I was just like, you know what? I don't care. I'm gonna watch it right away. Haven't got the chance to. Had the luck to watch the entire Mandalorian Season 2 in 2 days before having someone spoil it for me. Man, I cannot get into the Mandalorian. Lots of people like it, but I think it was episode like 1 or 2. I was watching it with a buddy of mine who like really likes Star Wars, and after the first episode or 2, I looked at him and I was like, he's gonna carry this baby Yoda around with him the whole entire time. That's what this is gonna be. It's gonna be him and this baby Yoda. And my friend's like, nah, he'll like drop him off somewhere and then there'll be a new story arc. And I'm like, that's not what's gonna happen, man. And I was like, I'm not interested in this anymore. I don't want to see the TV version of The Pacifier with Vin Diesel where you just got some super tough babysit. That's what it makes me think of. Or like whatever movie like The Rock, you know, is like the Tooth Fairy or the, you know what I mean? Like that's all I see. And there's zero appeal to me of Baby Yoda. Like I just, whatever his name is, Gordo or not Gordo. It's something with a G. And like I don't fault anyone for liking it or enjoying it. I just can't. I don't know. I was just like, I don't want to watch the TV show version of this. And I watched most of the first season because I was watching it with my buddy. And it's not terrible. Like I don't think it's a bad show. It's just not my kind of a show. And I used to be really, really into Star Wars stuff in middle school. Like I read a ton, lots of novels, about Star Wars. And I was really, really into it. And I remember reading some books about Luke Skywalker and Mara Jade and like all that kind of cool stuff. And there was like a young adult series about like Han Solo and his kids, and they were Jedi and like all this kind of stuff. And so I was like really into Star Wars, but it only lasted until like middle school. And then it was just kind of like, yeah, I mean, I'll watch Star Wars. I'm not like into it, but yeah, I'll definitely watch it and enjoy it. And the sequel trilogy or whatever, 7, 8, 9 did nothing. Nothing to want me to like stay involved with Star Wars. So it didn't have that appeal for me either, where I'm like, well, at least I get to see some Star Wars stuff, because like by that point it didn't matter all that much. Trailer isn't really appealing. The trailer for WandaVision or The Mandalorian? It's very formulaic, but I enjoyed it. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I definitely could see that. And I 100%, I like having formulaic shows that I enjoy, because like when you're tired and you just want to kick back and relax, you put on those shows and like, you know what's going to happen. It's not going to blow your mind, but you're going to enjoy it because you like it. And it's fun. You can kind of like actually turn your brain off and just be like, I'm just going to enjoy this for what it is. And I'm going to chill and I'm going to relax. And I love having those kind of shows. So Grogu. Yeah, that's what it is. Baby Yoda's okay, but it's all around it. That's really great, especially season 2. I'll probably end up watching it eventually. It'll be like a rainy day, like this one in Rivendreth. And I'll be like, you know what? I need something to watch. And I'll realize I have like 3 seasons of The Mandalorian that I haven't seen. And I'll just be like, whatever. I'll spend the whole day. I'll just lay in bed and just watch 3 seasons of The Mandalorian, because why not? Star Wars kid from the 70s, 80s, so I found something I loved about it. Yeah, that totally makes sense. The end of the Skywalker trilogy wasn't great. I haven't even seen it. Like, I watched the first one, whatever it's called. I don't even know the title of it. I watched the first one. I got about 15 minutes into the second one, and I never watched the third one. I did watch Rogue Squadron, and I really liked Rogue Squadron. A lot, actually. I thought that was really good. And I did not watch the Han Solo movie. Were there any other ones? I don't think so, right? It was just those 3 and then Rogue Squadron and Han Solo. Oh, the Wanda trailer didn't look very appealing. Yeah, I can imagine that, because they're being weird with it. Like, the first 2 episodes are in black and white, and it's supposed to look like an old sitcom, like I Love Lucy or something like that. All right, what are we doing here? Chains collected. You mean I missed the best hunter spec rotation guide? Yes, you did, but I did talk about your build. I didn't name you by name, Theory, but now you've been named. He's the Serpent Sting guy. So you have to go back and find like your little cameo, your shout out. Over here dropping names. Outside movies were okay. Solo average. Rogue One was really good. Yeah, I liked Rogue One. I saw that one in theaters. Yeah. Oh, theaters, man. I miss theaters so much. Okay, neglected souls retrieved and ash ghouls slain. I have not done this quest before. Right before coronavirus kicked off, the Alamo Drafthouse chain of theaters, which, if you're not from the U.S. or you're not familiar with those theaters, is a pretty awesome theater where you're like they serve beer and food and all that kind of stuff, and they don't just show the latest movies, they show like old movies, and they do just like fancy premieres and parties and stuff for movies. It's a really cool theater. But right before COVID, they had just come out with a movie pass where you could pay like X amount of dollars a month or whatever, and you could go see like a movie a day. And I had gotten the pass, and I had gotten an extra seat on the pass so that I could bring somebody with me. And I was all pumped. I was all excited. I was like, yeah, it's time. I'm going to just go to the movies all the time, enjoy myself, take somebody with me, you know, anybody I want. And then COVID happened, and like all the theaters shut down, and I lost like a huge thing that I did for entertainment. So that's been pretty depressing. I kind of miss it. But I will say I did get to do a couple of cool things before that all that happened. Like I went to it was a midnight showing of Beverly Hills Cop, the first one. And I was so excited about that. I love those movies. And I saw that they were doing Beverly Hills Cop in the theater. And I was like, I have to go to this. And it was a ton of fun. You know, it's not like, you know, the theater was like packed out like crazy or anything like that, but just getting to see that in theaters was awesome. We went and we saw Jurassic Park in theaters as well. They were doing like a re-showing of that, and that's one that I'm like young enough that I didn't see it in theaters. I don't know if like my parents were taking me to theaters at that point. So it was really cool to see that one in theaters as well. I'm pretty sure I saw like the second and third one in theaters. I've got 5 souls. Man, that hurts. Whatever they're doing there, I don't like it. Why don't I have... Okay. Really? Did I just lose all my spirits? I bet I just lost all my spirits. Can't believe I just died there. What was hitting me? Wild Blast hit you for 2,200. Yeah, okay, that Wild Blast thing does a ton of damage. I just lost all my souls. You gotta be kidding me. Oh well, happens. It's just more gameplay to showcase. Oh, you know what? I bet it's because my interface is messed up right now, and that's something I can interrupt, and I wasn't interrupting it when I should have been. I'm gonna have to see, because that's a problem I have with my interface right now, is something is bugged out with my cast bars on my nameplates, and so it doesn't actually show them. And so a lot of interruptible abilities I totally ignore right now because I don't actually see them casting them. So yeah, I want to see if that's a an ability I'm supposed to interrupt. Because if it is, I can just pay attention to it now. Because it'll still show up down here. But it's just not showing up on my actual nameplates. Yep, it is. Okay, so it is something I can interrupt. Got it. Makes sense now. I was like, something shouldn't hit me that hard just because. And it's not just because. It's because I should interrupt it. Yeah, I need to get that fixed, like, ASAP. Yeah, because that time I killed him. But it's when I was pulling multiples. Oh, I'm going to go the other direction. This is really annoying, trying to fight with these people for enemies. Alright, I just need to collect souls now. I don't need to actually kill anything. I will catch up with chat, I promise. Also, I don't know where I put my feints on my bar. Should be on this one, but it's not. Oh, okay. I've got it as my default defensive cooldown. Really? I was thinking of returning to Star Wars Old Republic MMO, but WoW is at a really good place right now. There's days where I just sit here and I'm like, you know what? I think I want to go play Final Fantasy 14. And then I'm like, wait, why would I invest all that time into, Final Fantasy 14 when I obviously still have tons of stuff I need to do in WoW and I have a YouTube channel about it? I do that with plenty of other games, but like it... Oh, no. Okay, cool. An MMO just has, like, too much going on to be able to dump time into multiples. Two more of these guys. Here's one. Yeah, interrupt your wild blast. Alright, one more. Poisoning all over the place. You get a serpent sting. You get a serpent sting. You all get a serpent sting. Absolutely. I ran that build for a little bit, I think, in Legion. Oh my goodness. Just give me one more ghost. Have one near my place here in Canada. They present different stuff as well. Opera concert and many great premieres without having kids around. I agree. That's also something that I like in general. I mean, it depends on the movie, I guess. Like, if I'm going to a movie, like a Pixar movie, like, kids are going to be there. And honestly, that's not to say, like, there are plenty of kids that can go to the movies and behave themselves. But there are also plenty that can't. And I think that's kind of like the Alamos thing, is they just sort of eliminate that aspect from your movie watching experience. And I saw Theory's comment here. Love the Alamo until they asked us to leave the showing of the kid movie when we actually brought our kid. Nothing when we brought tickets said we could not bring the kid. Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me at all. Like I said, if it's a kid's movie, you know, and they also like, they have a indicator on their stuff too. It's like Alamo for all or whatever, which is supposed to mean like everybody can come, but. I watched that recently as well as The Golden Child. I gotta watch Coming to America again because I guess there's a sequel coming out or it's already out. I can't remember. All right, back to town we go. Movie hadn't even started and the kid was excited to be there and she behaves in movies. Yeah, exactly. Like if your kid can behave, or I don't want to say if your kid can behave, but if a kid is there and behaving, like, yeah, I don't see any issues with it. Because, like, honestly, it doesn't matter if you're a kid or you're an adult. If you're being a dick in a movie, like, go. It doesn't matter what age you are. Like, there's plenty of adults that don't know how to behave in a movie either. So it's not even an age thing. And it's the same thing. Like, if you're a parent and you're bringing your kids to the movies, you should know the disposition of your kids and whether or not they can behave. Like, that's your responsibility as well. So, yeah, I don't know. Oh, I did watch, the other thing I got to do there was I watched the the series finale of The Good Place, which is awesome. I like The Good Place quite a bit. And so getting to see that in theaters was super cool too. I've seen kids behave better than adults. Absolutely. Simply have to set adult only time like they do here. Yeah, and that's what they do where I'm at as well. Like, if it says Alamo for all, then like everybody gets to go. Being a dad, I know you're feeling most of the time it's the parents who are the problems. Yeah, it definitely is. Aw, that made me sad. This druid's name is Imahara. Made me think of Grant from the Mythbusters. Maybe remember he's gone. Oh, sad times. That's a sad note to end the stream on, but that's where we're ending it. We got the world quest done. We got our introduction to Survival Hunter. For those of you who are here in the stream hanging out, I definitely appreciate it. I hope I see some of you at my birthday live stream this weekend. Like I said, I'll have more details about that up in the weekly update on Wednesday, as well as I'll make sure to put a post up about it in Discord and on the community page of YouTube. So thanks, you guys. Let me know what you thought of this stream and if you liked it and you want to see more. Honestly, the views, the likes, the comments and stuff are going to determine like how far I take this series and if I continue it in general. But either way, regardless of how that all shakes out, I definitely appreciate you guys hanging out and talking with me here in stream. So yeah. Thanks for the happy birthdays. If you can't make it to the stream, that's totally cool. It'll be up as a VOD, but it'll be a super long, ridiculous, probably like 8-hour stream. 6 or 8 hours. Last year, what did I do last year, Theory? 6 hours? 6 hours, and it took me like 4 hours to swear. I cuss like a sailor, like off YouTube, but I just get in this YouTube mentality. And the whole thing last year was I was supposed to have a stream where I would drink and just like act like myself. And I think it took me like 4 hours to swear like one time. And then it still was like super awkward. And yeah, I don't know. It was weird, but we'll see how it goes this year. Like I said, it'll be no ads and marked mature, so we can just hang out and talk about whatever, however we want to, and it should be pretty fun. Yeah. All right, you guys, y'all have fun. Have a good evening. Enjoy your time in World of Warcraft Shadowlands. We got the reset coming out tomorrow. And if you haven't seen it yet, I just put out a video about what to do at level 60, so you can go on the reset day and collect all your weekly quests and your daily quests and everything. That's up on the channel, so check it out if you haven't seen it yet in preparation for that reset. I'll see you guys back here Wednesday, as long as nothing goes wrong with the weekly update video. And then, like I said, this weekend for a birthday stream. So, all right, everybody, y'all have fun. I'm going to go eat some chili and play some Path of Exile. And I'll see you on the next video.